Check out the Full Press Hockey Podcast with Jim Biringer, the best in the business. It's going to be great.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this Full Press NHL Podcast. I'm your host, Jim Biringer, the voice of Full Press Hockey. I'm joined by a good buddy of mine. He was on the show earlier before the season started. He's got a lot of titles.
Whoa. I was on before the season started? That was back in October. Jim,
yeah.
I thought we were closer than that, man.
You know, I thought we were closer than that, too. The voice you just heard, the good buddy of mine, the host of SiriusXM Hot Stove, here him on Power Play, fills in all over, Pucks and 7, Victoria Matiash. Ryan Paton, I said he's got a lot of titles. I think he's like Apollo Creed, Master of Disaster, King of Sting, King of Puns. But Ryan, it's good to have you back, bud.
That's probably one of the best intros, if not the best intro I've had, JB. So I appreciate that. Always good to chat hockey with you, my man.
Always. And yeah, definitely. It's great to talk hockey with you. And we got the topic that's sweeping the nation on the charts. Casey Kasem's countdown, goalie interference. How ironic is it that a week after they talked about it and get clarity, Columbus and the New York Islanders, Monday night, Kyle Palmieri, Elvis Merzlikins play, tied at 3-3, and boom, we have a goalie interference call in a crucial game in the standings in the East wildcard race.
Ironic, yes. I'm not surprised. And I was reading an article, too, earlier on today before we came on and did this, and one of the headlines of it was, after the GM meetings, they were done in Florida, the league says, or the GMs say that they're moving in the right direction, that they're almost figured out this whole goalie interference thing. And I think the GMs were shown 54 different clips of goaltender interference. And on 52 of the 54, I think those are the correct numbers. Anyway, the percentage is very high. All the GMs agreed. They all agreed together, all 31. I think McCrimmon couldn't go because of other travel issues. But all the GMs agreed the same thing. So they said, yes, that is goalie interference. That is not. So 52 of 54 times. When the Situation Room took over, I think it was like 11 of 18 or 13 of 18, something like that. I'm just going to say this to you. I don't think this is ever going to be completely fixed. I don't think it's fixable. I don't think you can change this. You've got the human element. You have the technological element now. You have a call on the ice that says this. Then you go upstairs. Then you have to go through the coach's challenge. You do the challenge. Then you go upstairs. You go back to the war room in Toronto. They try to figure things out with how many eyeballs in that room. I don't know. And then they go back to the refs who make the announcement. It's yes or no. That's the end of it. But Jim, this is going to continue to happen. I don't think I want it to be fixed. I don't think it's fixable. I really don't.
No, it's like, I mean, you know, you and I are both NFL guys. It's the catch. Yeah. It's the catch rule, right? It's the catch. Sure. We don't know what a catch is, yes or no, Des Bryant, like all that. But it's interesting because talk to former officials I've had on the show, like Dave Jackson, who works for ESPN, Tim Peel, a couple other guys. They always say that the Situation Room goes with the call on the ice. The overriding call is the call on the ice unless there's an abundance of evidence to turn it over.
Okay. And
so to me is if that's called a goal, there better be like 75, 80% that says we got to change it to no goal. Okay. So I think if it's since they called it no goal, they have to find a ton of evidence to turn the other way.
The biggest point is, and you hit the nail on the head, it's whatever the call is on the ice. That's one thing, but then you have to find, as you said, the percentage to overturn that call. So let me throw this at you then, because you and I have texted back and forth. Yep. We've done social media the last little bit when it came to this game. The Elvis Merzlikins, Kyle Palmieri thing, the goal was called no goal on the ice. The majority of people, Jim, do say and do think that was not goaltender interference. You try to sell me that was goalie interference, and I'm going to sell you that it was not. Let's go. So I've been waiting for this moment.
The debate is on because we like that friendly banter here. No.
Yeah.
So I look at it. Palmieri comes around the net.
Yep.
And you look at it, and the direction he goes into, he skates into Merzlikins. Now, we can debate on who decides to make contact first. But the direction of his path takes him through like 1/4 of the top of the crease. It's like a percentage. And to me, and then they make contact, and he pushes him away. Now, the real question is, how much time does he have to reset? And we can debate, was it 30? Was it 2 seconds, 3 seconds? Did he have enough time?
I'm going to say like it's a 1,000, 2 1,000.
Right, exactly.
I think it was that count.
It's a bang 50-50 play.
Yeah.
The part that I say is goal interference is the fact that his path took him in there. Now, remember, it's less than a minute in the game. So the call came from the situation room. It's not a coach's challenge, unlike the one earlier, which you guys referenced, you and Victoria on your podcast, the Anders Lee-Merzlikins one, which I personally thought was goal interference too. But the call on the ice was goal. And again, the contact was outside the crease. The contact was inside the crease. Like I said, we went back and forth, the photos, everything. Everybody can use whatever they want. The fact of the matter is, the reason I'm going with this because it was the call on the ice. And I think he got in his lane, and he didn't allow the goalie to play his position. But again, it's debatable.
Check your phone, by the way, because I sent you the still shot. I sent you the still shot, which is going to prove my point. Okay. I don't know if you've ever had this happen before in a show of yours.
No, I've had it.
Okay. So I totally agree with what you're saying, but here's my thing with the interference call. The one angle that and I've looked at it 100 times, probably 1,000 like you have, and everyone has. The one angle that really gets me is right when Palmieri was going toward the net. To your point, he was going there because he knew the puck was going back to the point. And what do? You go to the front of the net. It's pretty simple ABCs of hockey. If you look at Elvis Merzlikins, his right foot goes a tiny, tiny bit. Yeah, bring it up there. I know it's a grainy shot. His right foot goes a small portion, just a little bit to his right, a shade outside the crease, and that initiates contact with Palmieri, who I think, because of that, stumbles a tiny bit, doesn't stumble into him, but his path is impeded a little bit, so he encroaches the crease a tiny bit more. I think if Merzlikins, and he knew what he was doing. Elvis didn't know what he was doing. But in this case, I think Elvis knew what he was doing. So he initiates the contact, and then he tries to push him out of the way. He takes about 2 seconds, JB, I think 2 seconds full before he can get set, and then the puck goes in the net. Second thing about it is, and I said this on the podcast, the reason that I would call that no goal, the reason I call it a goal and not goaltender interference, I wouldn't do this if I was in the situation room. But what did Elvis do after? He didn't do anything. If you think you're interfered with, a goalie loses his mind, especially at a time like that, dying seconds of the game, it's tied up. You need this extra point. You'd love it to go to OT. You'd love to get the extra point. He didn't do anything. He stared at the ref. The ref said no goal. So his first reaction was to stand up and look and didn't do. And now, maybe he picked up on the fact the ref said no goal. That's fine. But right in that initial contact and the goal goes in, I think the reaction by any human being, if they think that they're interfered with, they have a reaction. He didn't have any type of reaction. Now, the situation room is not going to base their decision based on that. No, that's not what I'm saying. But I think the contact was initiated essentially a tiny, tiny bit before the play actually happened. And if you look at the right leg of Merzlikins, it goes out just a shade, just enough to make contact with Palmieri.
And I hear your points. And look,
it's so close, though, right?
It's so close. That's why it's a bang play. And the other thing here is what we have to think 3D too. Don't forget, the crease doesn't just go in and out; it goes up too. The line of sight and everything, like so. And everybody's seeing me do hand gestures here too. But that's the thing. Like, where's the line? Is he on the line? Like, again, it's a bang play, and everything. It takes into account the first part, which is the call on the ice. Yeah. If the call on the ice is a goal,
I agree.
Then it's a goal.
Yeah.
But whatever the call on the ice was no goal.
Yep.
And it goes to the situation room. Now, I think personally, if they were in a position to challenge, the Islanders were in a position to challenge, I think that gets overturned. Me personally.
I would agree with you. I thought what Patrick Roy said after the game, I mean, he was frustrated, obviously, and then you lose in the shootout. That's an extra huge point. And I think that would have put, if the Islanders won that game and Columbus didn't in regulation, it would have been something like a 4 or 3 point swing within one game in those standings. But now it's not. What Patrick Roy said, and I'm not I loved him when he played the game. I really don't think that he is... I don't think I don't know what the typical coach is in the league, but I just don't think the NHL is his thing to coach. Other leagues are, and he's had success. But I agree with what he said. And I know he put a punch right to Toronto. He said, look, if these guys are going to do this in Toronto, we don't need Toronto. And do they need Toronto? Well, yeah, I think you do, because now the league is to the point you need to have more eyeballs. I think, honestly, Jim, sometimes it's too much. I was actually thinking this the other day, and this would really stink and suck for the referees on the ice. If there was no replay at all, if there were no coaches' challenges for anything, that call that stands is up to the referee. And then after the game, even on the replay, imagine that happened. There was no challenge at all. That wasn't a part of the NHL. You see that on the Jumbotron and everybody losing their mind thinking that was goaltender interference. Then the ref has to live with that. And you mentioned Dave Jackson. I've talked to Dave Jackson a bunch of times too. He's awesome. I don't envy these guys in the league. I don't envy these refs. But the human element in the game is now being tested. I don't like to see in any sport the human element being almost completely eliminated. It's going to be at some point. Look what they're doing in baseball, right? They're doing that like challenge.
I hate that.
Which is ridiculous. I mean, baseball's already 8 hours a game. Like, we don't need to increase this stuff.
No.
So
I agree with you. And look, it's the one thing about goalie interference and you go to the other calls in the book, right? You go offside, puck over glass, all that stuff. And I didn't even think puck over glass, unless you really like look at it, is a subjectivity call. Goalie interference is a judgment call, human error, human element, and it's an object. And it so happens so quick. There are other ones we know, right? And talking with Dave about the Sam Bennett play last year in the playoffs, right?
Yes.
The referee's got a lot going on in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
Majority of the time, that's called no goal. And the fact of the matter is it probably should have been overturned on replay when a guy pushes the defenseman into the opposing goalie to gain an advantage and score.
Of course.
But it didn't. But they were consistent enough in the next game to say, hey, wait a minute, something similar happened.
Mm-hmm.
They counted the goal, so they were consistent. And I think we've been looking for, that consistency and that standard. We've gotten it. Has it swung so far the other way? Yes, potentially. But we have a standard that they've been with the whole year. It, like you and I have been watching the games all year. Yeah. We can debate till we're blue in the face whether it's not. But we all can agree that's pretty much been the standard the whole year.
The thing which magnifies this one even more was that it is a crucial game down the stretch for two teams fighting for their playoff lives, right? So I look at it in this way as well. Say this was in any playoff series, and let's focus to Game 7 of any playoff series. What if this happened with under 10 seconds to go, and a team scored to go up by 1 to avoid OT, and they are 10 seconds away from winning that round and moving on to whatever round they're going on to? That's where I don't want this to happen. And you mentioned the Bennett play and all that. And I mean, if you put your whistles away, a lot of the mentality going into the playoffs is, the refs are going to put them away. They're not going to call as much. Yes, that's fine, and they're not as tight. I get it. I still don't think that should be a thing, but it is. It's been made to be that way. But I don't want to see something like this be so crucial in a huge decision that has a massive impact on a game. And I'm not going to say this. Well, I am. What if the Blue Jackets, or what if the Islanders, what if that point that the Islanders didn't get, what if that single point prevents them from getting into the postseason? They're going to look back at that, and they're going to be even more upset. Patrick Waug's going to be even more upset.
Yeah, no, I agree. And considering like what the Islanders have been doing, considering that they traded Brock Nelson, and they're still in this fight for the playoffs.
They're just hanging around. I don't get how they're still hanging around this thing, man.
I don't get it either. I mean, it's like Lou, I'll believe we'll get in and figure it out. But to me, the mentality should be you want to win in the playoffs, not just get in. No. And they're going to be eliminated in the first round again if they get in. And it's not even going to be competitive.
No. I wouldn't say this to Lou's face. If he hears this, well, then I apologize, Lou. But, I think your time has come. It really has.
Yeah.
Look, he's what, 105, something like that?
Something like that. I don't know.
104, maybe. I mean, I understand it's this and this and this, but you're right. When it comes to teams, it's one thing to get in, but yeah, that's fine to get in. But keep the focus on, hey, can we even upset whatever team we're playing? Can we ride this thing as long as we can? Don't just get in for the sake of getting in. Get in for the sake of trying to win this thing.
Right. I know everybody talks about playoff revenue and game
Yep.
and all that stuff. I get it.
Yeah.
This was the problem at times in New Jersey, too. It's like, just get in. But then you lose in the first round.
No, I know.
So what was the point of getting in then?
Yeah. No, I agree.
If you have a team that you believe that can go far, then do it. But it's a lot of the same mistakes that he has made towards his tail end in New Jersey. Like, if you look at it from after they made that trip to the Stanley Cup final in 2012, he kind of was like, oh, well, these older players, these guys that we were there, we're a couple games away. I'm like, no, you really need to rebuild now. Like, after the Islanders went back-to-back conference finals, oh, by the way, which some people don't point out, 2 shortened seasons, older team, it helps. That was the time to say, hey, let's start getting younger, faster, quicker, because we want to be in this position again.
You know what it is? You make a great point. I was just putting myself in his shoes or any GM shoes that are in a position of, do you try to hang on for another season? And then if you are not somewhat successful, but if say you do get in again, or say you're very close, 2 points out, do you hang on again thinking, well, if I don't make a lot of changes, we can maybe push ourselves in? It's a fine line, because you've got to admit at some point, I don't think any GM wants to admit that their team is bad and they have to take a few years to rebuild. Like, look at Chicago and look at San Jose. They're going to be a little bit of time away. I think San Jose is closer. Talk about that another day. But it's not an easy decision. So my point is, for Lou or whoever's in this position, it's not easy to say, okay, let's take a couple steps back, or let's take one back, as the old adage is, to take 2 steps forward, even if it takes a few years.
Yeah, but I think the Islanders, if they had made a couple of moves, and I was listening to their show after the trade deadline, and they were bringing up great points about, if there's deals on the table to get younger and faster, and
I agree.
Team, make
the
those moves.
I know, dude. I agree. I completely agree. To me, it's also as well, like, if you have a chance to get younger and faster, because the game is young and fast. So whatever additions you can make, even if you need to put some veterans out or not re-sign them in the offseason, it's a young man's game. It's an early 20s, mid-20s year old's game. So get faster, get younger. And if you need to eat something, if you need to make some move that, hey, that's pretty bold, well, then do it. Because I think if you did that, in the Islanders' case, they would be further ahead.
I agree with that. I mean, just look what the Canadians are doing this year.
Yeah, man.
Columbus, Ottawa. Well, Ottawa, everybody expected should have been in this position. Detroit, too.
Dude, you can't lose to Buffalo, by the way.
No, you cannot do that. That's an awful loss. Can't do that. Buffalo going to miss the playoffs 14 I predicted that, by the way, at the beginning.
Did you?
I said Buffalo's missing again. It's going to probably be 14, 15 straight years of playoff misery. Because I said, who they beating? Like, I said Montreal better, Detroit's better, Ottawa's better than you, and the top of the division's better than you.
Yep, by far.
How are you gonna improve?
You're not.
You're not. But that's a bad loss for an Ottawa Senators team that really
it's terrible. I threw this out the other day to Victoria on the Pucks and 7 podcast that we do, and I said Buffalo is in misery. Feel for the fans, because they're great fans in Buffalo, football fans, hockey fans, whatever it is. But Kevin Adams needs to make a huge move, and not the move that he did at the deadline with Cousins in Ottawa. That's not the move. And some of the other ones, I threw this out and she completely shot it down. And I know you will as well within a second after you hear it from me. I think you got to do one of 2 things. And I think it's more of one. You got to try to trade a Tage Thompson.
Man,
Rasmus Dahlin, somebody on that team that would absolutely net a huge, huge return and would also send such a massive statement. Now, there's 2 statements that can make. Number one is, you're giving up on everyone. You trade one of those guys. You're giving up on our best defenseman, giving up our best forward, 2 of our best players. But you know what, Kevin? You've got to do something. Yeah. You're not going to go anywhere if you keep doing and using the same blueprint.
No, and I think the guy that I would circle, well, there's 2 guys to me, and I agree with you. Bold statement, definitely. Not sure Dahlin or Thompson are the guys.
Right, no, I agree. I'm just talking about like this major, wow, you actually did that?
I think power, obviously Bo Byram, who's an RFA, you're going to sign him, you're going to trade him, what are you going to do with there? What about JJ Peterka? Guys like that. Like, are those Quinn, like, are those guys that you want to keep around? Or are they those guys that you can move and get assets for? And I think Power, Byram, guys like that. I got one for you. I proposed this one before the deadline for the Devils to make with Buffalo. It's a similar trade to what we saw with Cousins, but it was a little bit – it filled needs for both teams.
Okay.
I want to get your thoughts on this. So I said New Jersey sends Nemec and Mercer to Buffalo for Byram and Cousins.
Ooh. I do it.
Hockey trade, right?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And that is a trade that could be, again, you never know, but it could be, at least on paper, and moving those 4 pieces, that's a win-win for both teams.
Right, exactly. Obviously, Buffalo went in the other direction.
Right.
When Ottawa made that hockey deal.
Right.
But again, Josh Norris is always hurt. He's still hurt. I mean, I don't know if that was the player I would have targeted to get back in that deal. But again, you made a move. I think you have to make another move. And I think you need to probably have to bring in somebody above Kevin Adams, because how much more power and how much more time can he have to just make all these business decisions for a team that needs to get back in the playoffs? Because you see Montreal's better than you. Detroit's there. Ottawa, like all these, Columbus, after everything they've gone through, they're right there. The Islanders are still kicking tires somehow. So if you're Buffalo, you got to say to yourself, what are they doing that we're not doing?
Yeah. No, you have to. And you have to, and just when you were just saying that, I'm thinking, well, does Kevin Adams need to leave? Is his time in Buffalo done? I don't know. I'm not going to blame the GM for this, because it's been going on forever. It was even happening before he took over as general manager. It's too bad. It's too bad that a team, and it's not only that, JB, with Buffalo not making the postseason in a billion years, but it's every single year. There's really not any hope with the club. There's going to be hope soon in San Jose. I can see it already. And San Jose should be much further behind than Buffalo is. But to me, I don't get any sense of anything after any offseason in Buffalo. They're going to do the same thing. They're going to start off okay, then they're going to fizzle, have a good start, then they're going to be terrible, then maybe end the last week and a half or 2 weeks with, 5 wins and 7. That's not going to do you anything. It's doing you nothing. You're once again missing out. Right,
exactly. It's the same old story with Buffalo, right?
Yeah.
I never got the hire of Lindy Ruff. I didn't think that was a great hire. I think he should have gone a different direction. Again, I'm going to put my bias aside of what he did in New Jersey, and I think he's right. I think he's been right to some extent, though, after he's left. If you look at how the team's played defensively, I think he's been right to some aspects, but I'm not sure if that was the right hire in Buffalo for me. And I think they have to change the mindset in that team, too, in that culture, right? The losing mindset has to be unacceptable. And it has to be unacceptable from the start.
You know what? I don't know if we were going to talk about this during the show, but I'm going to throw this out anyway. Last night, Philly lost 7-2 to Toronto. And again, a lot of bounces that went off Philly's skates and players, and they didn't play well. It was just awful. Toronto, by far the better team, whatever. John Tortorella coming out after saying, this is on me. It's on me. It's on me. We've heard this, Jim, on at least 3 occasions this season, maybe more, that the coach is coming out saying, this is on me. I'm not getting this team prepped the way I should. I'm going to tell you something. I don't think Torch should be there. I don't think this is the right fit. I'm not knocking his coaching style. I think he's very good. What I do think he's very good at is teaching, for example, Mitch is teaching him life lessons outside of the game of hockey. I think he's very good at that in developing players as humans and what they can do outside of the ice and outside the rink and when they're not playing. But when you're calling yourself out a few times over the course of the season, what does it tell you? It tells you one of two things. One, you're not doing the right job. And two, the team's not responsive to you. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
I agree with that. No, I like that you brought that up because I listened to it this morning and I listened to it again last night. And I'm like, and I talked with guys around Philly too, and they're not even sure if he's going to be back next year.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder, he's like, I'm kind of not interested. Was it his words too? It's like, all right, so if you're not interested, are the players interested? Like, and again, look, maybe somebody has to go to John and keep him in like the office for 5 minutes before he goes out and meets the media, because like,
good luck with that.
Just cool down, just be like, dude, you're getting yourself in trouble here with with what you're saying. But I do think that Philadelphia is probably going to make a coaching change. I think you would keep him on somehow though, because like you said, life lessons for these kids.
Right.
For keep him as an advisor or something, coaching consultant, like just help with these kids because they do need that. But I think they have to take the next step now too. You're getting your team ready. And again, things off the ice didn't help Philadelphia because they had a goalie of the future. And now they're trying to find it again.
Yeah.
But this team should be a little bit better than it was this year, considering what they did last year.
Yeah, no, I agree. And the body language, I go back to San Jose again. I've said this a number of times all year. San Jose, awful record, whatever it is, they're just not good. But the body language on that team, maybe a 7-1 loss or if it was 7-2 last night and it was San Jose that lost to Toronto or whomever in the league, yes, they would be ticked off that they lost and they got shellacked. That's just what human nature is. But there wouldn't be this despondency. There wouldn't be the optics that I see on the bench with a lot of other players. I compare San Jose to Chicago a lot. Chicago, they're both in the same kind of situation. Chicago's got Bedard, great guy to build around. San Jose got Celebrini, great guy to build around. But I just look at the body language on each of the clubs and during warmups and during the game, even if you're losing, it's so different. And that means to me, that's going to make San Jose take a step ahead faster than Chicago will.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like what San Jose's done. They should have watched them a bunch. Even
they had a ton of draft picks coming up too, right?
Right, yeah. But look at Anaheim too. Same thing. Like the body language is they're never out of any game. Like Montreal, never out of any. This is what I've been talking about with this East playoff race, and you look at the West playoff race too. St. Louis, that's a great move by what they did. Again, tell me Jim Montgomery was really the problem in Boston. I don't think so. The guy can coach. This Blues team is gonna get in. And look what it does. Look what it says about giving goalies confidence and a belief in themselves.
Yeah.
When John Cooper's like, no, go back to the Four Nations. He's like, yeah, we have 3 goaltenders. I'm picking one, and I'm sticking with one guy. He's stuck with Binnington. Look at what that's done for him. He's carried it over, and this is not mine. I'm not going to take credit for it. I don't know who came up with this term, but the offer sheet boys, Dylan Holloway and Philip Broberg.
That's good.
St. Louis. Unbelievable what they've done for that team.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I'll go back to what the one of the last scenes, not last scenes, but one of the scenes on the ice after Canada beat the U.S. the Four Nations, and John Cooper is hugging Binnington, and he's grabbing him, and he's whispering or he's saying something in his ear, and nobody knew exactly what that was, but essentially it came out shortly thereafter that he was saying, look, man, big games are for big-time players and big-time people, and you're a big-time person. And the confidence that would instill, heck, if he said that to you and I, after not only sticking with us the entire tournament, when some maybe question Binnington's performance at certain times in each game, saying, yeah, do you think you can go with Hill or somebody else, maybe Montembeault? No, he stuck with him. That's what makes Cooper so good, though, right? He'll stick with you, and you will go down with the ship, or you will rise up again and you'll sail off into the sunset with the same person. So I agree with you, man. I think it's awesome. I love what the Blues are doing. It's a great story. They had a huge win last night. Montreal was terrible. That's a game that they should have had too. But anyway, it's playoff time.
Yeah, it is playoff time, right? St. Louis. And they're controlling their own fate right now because they're keeping, even though they may not have games in hand, because I believe Calgary and Vancouver has games in hand on them, but they're winning the games right now that they need to create separation. And, Doug Armstrong does it again, threatens everybody. We're going to trade everybody, ask for enormous prices for everybody, and the team plays better. But I like to hire Jim Montgomery. He's always been good. And Calgary and Vancouver just hanging around. Again, this is what I'm talking about. And look, everybody wants to say Devils tie-in and this and that. This is what frustrates me a little bit, covering the team and watching for all these teams have dealt with injuries throughout the way. Throw Utah in here, throw throw all these playoff teams that are, when they lose somebody, okay, next man up. Okay, Calgary's been dealing with injuries. Vancouver doesn't have Pettersson and Hoglander and all these guys. Yeah. Where's the compete? Where's the fight to play the right way? New Jersey doesn't have Jack Hughes, Dougie Hamilton, Yogi. I get it. You're missing 2 of your top 4 defensemen and probably your best offensive weapon. But that should not be a reason for you not to show up every night and play the right way and not make the mistakes that you make.
It's kind of like with, in a little bit, not as drastic because we know McDavid and Leon are going to come back at some point. Still, I think there's more of a concern that they're letting on at the moment. But With Edmonton, if Leon and McDavid don't do what they normally do on a nightly basis, you don't have much of a shot to win. I mean, you may have a bit of a shot, but you have much more of a shot. So I said this the other day that in the absence of those two right now, the Oilers, they're in a fine spot in the postseason. They're fine. There's no problem. But some of the other players need to get on some sort of roll, because what have we said over every single round that Edmonton's ever been in since McDavid and Draisaitl have been with the team? If those two don't perform, yeah, they went to Game 7 last year. Totally get it. That's fine. But you're not going to win anything. So if you look at New Jersey, you don't have those top studs, and those are big players. It doesn't matter. They're not coming back. Like, they're not coming back.
No.
In Edmonton's case, they're going to come back. But in Jersey, they're done. So they're not going to come back. We'll see them in October for Game 1. So stop looking at, oh, we can't do this, we can't do that. You're paid big bucks. Even the guys that aren't paid massive amounts of money, you get paid to play a game. Stop crying about it and show Sheldon Keefe that, yeah, I'm going to compete. Give me 10 minutes, even give me 5 minutes. Those 5 minutes of ice time that you give me, I will compete my you-know-what off, because I want to show you that we don't need them. We do need them, but we can still win without them.
Right, and this is where I do not have a problem with what Sheldon Keefe did the other night.
Right, I was going to ask you about that.
I have zero problem with it, because I'm a player. I played the game.
Sure, yeah.
I loved it when my coach called me out.
Right.
Hey, Biringer, you're not playing great tonight. Okay? That motivated me. Say, coach says I'm not playing well.
Yeah.
Okay, I got to go show him that I can go play well. And yeah, did Kovacevic get caught in a line of fire? Yeah, he did. Do I think he regrets what he said? No, because he said he admitted it. I don't regret it. He just got caught in the line of fire. He's mad that his team's not playing well and underperforming.
It's an emotional game. It's an emotional game. Yeah.
But the difference is, in New Jersey, he don't have to walk it back. What happened in Toronto? Calls out Marner, Matt, all these guys. Oh, next day, got to walk it back. Why? Yeah. He didn't. He should never have walked it back in Toronto. Those guys needed to hear it.
Yeah, they did. They did. I completely agree, but that's a big difference between the markets, right? It's kind of like this pressure that Sheldon Keefe or whoever was feeling. They got to walk it back. Totally get it. I had no problem with what Keefe said either. I thought it was great. And I think what that means is it sends the message to, yeah, you can say whatever you want about anything, but you're a man. I'm your coach. As long as I'm behind the bench, I'll have the final say in this. So if you want to keep going off on whatever, that's fine. But I'm going to take this down a bit, and we need to focus on not only getting in. Well, they're going to be fine. I mean, they've 81 points, 72 games that they played, 4 wins though in the last 10, as you know more than anyone, because you cover them a lot closer than I do. But I'm fine with it. I was fine with what Keefe said, and I was fine with the whole thing playing out.
Yeah, he's called out other players throughout the season.
Yeah, he has.
He's called out Marner. He's called out the goalies. He's called out other players. And he was brought in for accountability. Yeah. Like, that's what he was brought in for, different things and systems and all this stuff. But the big thing was accountability. And
there's nothing, to your point when you said that you used to play, and I know you still skate, but when you were playing competitively and someone called you out saying, you got to do better, this. These athletes in sports, and again, it's easy for you and I to say this because we're not in that position, but you got to just stop being so gentle with them. If you make, say, 15 mil, whatever it is, and you have a bad couple of games or 3 games, you let them know about it. Don't be afraid about that. That's when you get respect. You may get ticked off at that moment, and you may get a response from that player you call out, which is not something you want, but what you expect. It's okay, though. Deal with it. You're trying to win the game. I don't care if you're the best in the world. If you don't have a good stretch, when that coach knows you can play a heck of a lot better, you call them out on that. I think there's nothing wrong with that. And it happens too much where people get, I can't do this. I can't talk to them like this. Yes, you can. Deal with it.
Well, again, full circle, we talked about Cooper before with Bennington. How many times has he sacked Kucherov because he's made a mistake?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
100%. Like, you could scratch your top players. You can sit your top players. Like, and again, some people may take this the wrong way and everything. I've always felt that sometimes, Jack Hughes and Luke Hughes get a break in New Jersey because the team's kind of built around them.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes those guys need to sit a shift or two.
Yeah.
To see that the mistakes that they made are not tolerable.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it costs them games.
Sure.
Those guys are really good at what they do.
Yeah.
But you got to play a certain way come playoff time. And I think this team just needs to dig deep. Like I said, you see it because all these teams are competing hard for these playoff spots. New Jersey's in there, but they're going to be one and done against Carolina because Carolina is just playing a team game that's just unbelievable right now. And they're going to be one and done. But don't cry, woe is me, that we have injuries because every team deals with injuries. I don't want to say injuries as an excuse because every team dealt with it. Look at Utah. Thursday was out. Marino was out. All the guys were out, and somehow they're still in the mix in the Western Conference. Like, they may not get in, but they're still battling. And that's what you want to see from teams.
It's about how you deal with adversity, and even if you don't go as far as you want to with all the adversity, you can build on that. It's what it is. So just stop this stuff, deal with it. You've got some healthy bodies, you've got some unhealthy ones. Just play the game, get the 2 points, do your best.
Right, exactly. And I've seen Calgary come through here. I just want to get your thoughts on them. Jonathan Huberdeau. I mean, granted, he's not going to have a 150-point season, but to me, talking with him, seeing his expressions, the way he's playing the game, looks like he's having fun again. He's looked like the player he was in Florida before he got traded.
I had been pulling for him, and I remember when he was in Florida that he was, and I think in a lot of people's minds, one of, if not the most underrated, maybe underappreciated players in the game. And I remember when he was under the tutelage, if you want to call it that, I thought Daryl Sutter did not do a good job at all in Calgary. But when he didn't put him in his natural position, I thought that is unreal. How can you not put someone who has that type of talent where he's most comfortable on the ice? So for him to be, again, body language, right? It's reflective of how you are and how you're playing. For him to be doing what he's doing, the Flames, I mean, you talked about the games in the hand that they had on the Blues. So they have 3 games in hand. That's 6 points that they had that the Blues cannot get in their last nine games. The Flames have 12 games to go. I love what I'm seeing from him. And if Calgary's going to make this push, they need him to play like the Jonathan Huberdeau that we know that he can play and how he can play. He's had a tough go. I mean, I wouldn't have wanted to leave where I was. I was comfortable. We were playing well. And then you get to Calgary. Yeah, it's a good situation. But then Sutter just sucks the life out of you. So I'm all for this, man. Every time I see Huberdeau on the score sheet or one of the 3 stars of the game or anything like that, and in the conversation is, hey, this guy's having fun and playing, I love the guy. I really do.
I just go back to Thursday when he was in New Jersey. After the game, he's just got this big smile on his face.
Yeah.
They won the game and everything. But somebody asked him about like the scoring race with Nazem Kadri. And he's like, yeah, he's laughing. Yeah, it's okay. Me and Naz finished hot. And laughing because he doesn't care. He just wants to win hockey games. And that's what they're doing. And Dustin Wolf, again, Dustin Wolf, is it going to be Lane Hudson, Macla Celebrini? Mitch, who's Calder Trophy? It's really interesting just to see what these players are doing because it's just the league is in such a great place right now, great hands.
Let me throw this at you. So Huberdeau, 57 points and Kadri 54. So that's a pretty tight race between the two. You mentioned Wolf; he's having a great season. I think the favorite and the sexier pick maybe is Celebrini. I had this discussion the other day about the Hart Trophy. And now that Leon's hurt, some of the odds makers are saying, well, now it's going to be McKinnon's trophy to lose. You look at the numbers across the board that Draisaitl has. Forget the 49 goals. Don't forget it. But I know that's a sexy thing, getting close to 50. He has much more than McKinnon does, not in points, though. But Draisaitl's numbers are ridiculous. I think you have to put Connor Hellebuyck in the discussion. You need to put a goalie in any discussion outside of the Vezina. Just because you've got the Vezina and you have that trophy for the best goaltender should not mean you should not be in discussion at all for the Hart Trophy. And same thing with the Rookie of the Year. I know Wolf is in the discussion, but just because you're a goalie and you've got another trophy that you can win doesn't mean you shouldn't be in that discussion.
No, I agree with you because how many times have we heard it? In NFL especially.
Yeah.
Well, MVP is a quarterback award.
Quarterback.
There's a million other positions, right? MVP in hockey is just not a forward position or a defenseman position.
Yeah, because I would say it's the most valuable player, not forward.
To his team.
To his team.
To his team. And I agree. I think Connor Hellebuyck should be in that discussion because put any other goalie in that position with that Jet team, they're not doing what they're doing. I'm sorry, they're just not. You have Connor Hellebuyck, who is arguably the best goalie in the world right now, going to win back-to-back Vezina trophies. And, he should be in the conversation because I don't think a lot of people had the Jets being this good. I think they were in the conversation for top 3 in the Central.
Not this good, no.
But not this good. No way.
No. And this is a lot about sometimes that you get all those points and they're skewed. So Winnipeg putting up all these points and the play is skewed because they have a ton of points. But you're right. With what Hellebuck has done in goal, and I always say this too about the whole mental. I know we talked a lot about this stuff over the course of the show, but when you have confidence in your goalie, that if you make a mistake, you know that he's going to, well, if not bail you out, he's going to give you a chance to win every night. That changes the complete mindset of your team. And Hellebuck he seems so calm back there behind the team. He does every single night.
No, nothing bothers him, right? Oh, okay, bad goal, whatever. My team will go get it. I'll make sure I stop
it off.
And he's there's nights where they got to rely on him to make 40 saves, but there's other nights where they need 20 saves or 25 saves, and they're putting goals in. I mean, look, I'm not saying it's going to happen. It could, but if I'm going to get Washington and Winnipeg from Tuesday night in a Stanley Cup final, and those are going to be the type of games I'm going to see, I'm going to be excited for that final.
100%, because not only are the guys outside of the goaltenders great, but they have two of the best like in the game. Hellebuck, Thompson, whoever you want in goal. I would love to see that happen. Again, the President's Trophy, I think only 8 teams. I think only 8 since only 8 have gone on to win the cup. It's almost like a curse, right? It's almost like
really is a curse. Like no one wants it. Like
no one wants it. Yeah,
don't give me it. Don't give me it. I don't want it. I don't want to get known about it. I don't even want to know about it.
I'll take the division. I'll take the first in the conference, but I want nothing to do with that trophy, whatever that thing is, what they call it.
So we talk about the Central, right? And we've mentioned things throughout, and obviously the trade deadline, we've mentioned that. Yeah. I look at 2 divisions that really got better. I want to get your thoughts on this.
Yeah.
The Central and the Atlantic. The top 3 in each. Those 6 teams, to me, did the best in the trade deadline.
I remember, and the deadline was on the Friday, and Tampa Bay had that deal with Seattle on the Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, the Bjorkstrand and the Gord deal. And I remember thinking that was punch number 1. That was round 1. Yeah. Now what's Florida going to do? What's Toronto going to do?
Yeah.
And then you go to the Central, and Dallas, Jimmy Neal pulling something not out of his book, saying, I'm going to give up pieces for the future to try to win now. I don't do this, but you got to give to get. Getting Rantanen and the Avalanche, what they did, and then the Winnipeg Jets. They didn't do a ton. They didn't need to do a ton, but I just thought the moves they did were fine. But that just goes to show you that those 6 teams, they're heavyweights in this league. They are. And that's with all due respect to what Washington's done and what Carolina's doing in Vegas, and Edmonton. But you have those 3 clubs in each of those divisions thinking, you make one move, I'm going to make another. I loved it, man. Like, it was back and forth. It was like 10 rounds of heavyweight boxing. Ali, Frazier, Tyson, Holyfield without the ear bite, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I loved it. And again, we're going to find out. The unfortunate part of all that is one really good team out of those 2 really good teams out of those 6 is going to be knocked out in that first round. That's what stinks about it. That's that's tough. That's why you need to go to the 1-8 system.
I agree. Look, I understand why they do it because it's for TV. I get it.
Yeah.
But 1-8, 2-7, 3-6, 4-5 is just as exciting because if you put it together, you're still. I think I looked at it the last time. I have to do updated standings, but I think it was like Edmonton, Colorado played first round, or Dallas and Edmonton played first round, something like that.
Yeah, it's Edmonton, Edmonton, Vegas, Colorado, LA. No, I can't remember. If you do the 1 through 8, if you do the 1 through 8, you got some pretty decent matchups.
Right, exactly. So good teams are still going to go home anyway.
Yeah.
The league is still the way it is.
Yeah.
I get it. But, I mean, Colorado reminds me of the team that won the Cup with the move with Nelson and Coyle down the middle. And you potentially get Landeskog back. Now, we'll see if it happens. Like, he's skating. They're doing all this stuff. Yeah. I'm still not sold on it. I hope he proves me wrong. I want to be proven wrong. I want to see Gabe Landeskog back playing hockey. But June 2022 was the last time he played a hockey game.
I know.
In this league. Almost 3 full years, you're not playing. It's tough to do. I hope he does it, even if he gets a Stamkos shift.
I was just going to say that. Yeah, you read my mind. I was saying this reminds me of what I can see it happening like it did with Stammer. I really do.
Just give me one shift. If he scores, even better. Yeah. Right? You get the goal score, and then you don't play. That's even better. But Colorado's dangerous. Dallas is dangerous. Oh. They're so Vegas is the sleeper in all this to me because I think we're underestimating how good this team really is. And if LA does not beat Edmonton this year, then I don't know. Then you just throw the white flag in, because I think LA needs home ice as best as possible, because they better beat them.
They're 26-3-4 on home ice, the LA Kings, which is astonishing. So yeah, I'm with you, and I do think that the Kings, they're playing they won 4 in a row, they won 9 of 10, whatever it is. They're playing great hockey. If the season ended tonight and then the postseason began, I know Edmonton doesn't have Leon or McDavid. Even if with McDavid and Draisaitl, I think this is LA's best chance. I really do. Yeah. I want to go back to what you were saying about Colorado. I think Colorado did the best at the deadline. Yeah. I never put grades on, the winners and the losers, because you never know. You never know until the final game is played, and hopefully for them it's going to be a Stanley Cup. But they gave up, and I give a ton of credit to what these guys are doing in Colorado and giving up picks in Dallas for Mikko Rantanen, and what they're doing in Tampa Bay. They're doing this all the time, these general managers. They give up a ton of futures, a ton of draft picks to get players. Brock Nelson, I had these stats, and I was trying to remember them, but I wanted to write them down. At 5-on-5, with him on the ice in the games that he's played, I know it's a little sample size, but it's still a sample size. The Avalanche have accounted for 55% of the scoring chances, and they've outscored the opposition 7-4. With Charlie Coyle, I know his ice time's dropped a bit by, I think, 4 minutes, but he's on that third line. They've also outscored the opposition. And then you factor in all the other guys they have, the Nate Chats, you got McKinnon already there, you've got Drury, you've got Blackwood. This team this team's completely different, JB, from when it hit the ice in October.
It is. They are, and they're a better team than they were. And again,
much better.
And it goes back to what I put out during the trade deadline right before it. Callum McCrimmon, winning business. I'm in the winning business, not the hockey business. Julian Brisebois in Tampa. These draft picks are not going to help me. I'm not even going to see them in the league. I got to give up to win now. This ruthless aggression, this aggression attitude started with Doug Armstrong with the offer sheets in the summer. Look what the Blues have done. These teams, it's paying off for these teams. Even Florida's paid off.
Yep.
Toronto, they made moves that maybe people didn't, we don't know what Toronto's going to be.
Sure.
Well, they go get, you go get Brandon Carlo, you go get Scotty Lawton. This team looks a lot better now on paper to match up with a Florida, with a Tampa. And I think, to me, to be honest, if I'm Toronto, I want Tampa in the first round, because that's a team I've beaten most recently.
Yeah. I think, I'm in agreement with that. And I agree with Toronto. It's a different team. It was a different team anyway, because Craig Berube, he's a much different coach than Sheldon Keefe. But there's something about the club. Do you want to know who I think is the biggest addition on that team? Is Brandon Tanev.
Oh, 100%. Oh, you mean Chris Tanev?
Chris Tanev. He's the biggest addition. He just solidifies the back end. He blocks about 100 shots a night. And to me, he's going to be such a key cog for that team in the post. They haven't had anybody like that, JB. Anybody.
A while. A while. I think the last guy I remember that was that kind of big. Again, I can't think back to early 90s on their D, but I remember Thomas Caberlet was a force on the team in the late 90s, early 2000s for Toronto. I mean, he was a difference maker for them on the back end.
The narrative with the Leafs, again, as everybody knows, it's been since 67. It's also been that they can't get by Boston. Well, guess what? They don't have to do that this season. So that's a good thing. Hey, you guys won a round already because you want to face the Bruins. But I just think that there's a difference with the team going in. And I don't know if I'm right with this at all. It's just a guess. But you know how every single summer or spring and summer that the Leafs go in this, there's so much heat on Matthews and Nylander and Marner. By the way, John Tavares is turning back the clock right now with what he's doing. Oh my gosh, man, on fire. I don't think they're going to feel as much pressure. I don't know why. I don't know how. I just don't think it's going to be as intense because of kind of how Toronto is built differently this year.
Yeah, I agree with that. And look, there's going to be so many off-season things too with Tavares and Marner and Knies and all those guys. You better be ready, because I'm going to take a guess. I think somebody offers Sheets Knies. I really do.
Yeah.
I think they're going to take a run at him. Look, this is the guess. I don't know if it happens, but I think somebody's going to try to take a run at him.
I remember when the deadline came and even before the deadline and Knies his contract was coming up. And I was seeing the other day that, I mean, there's speculation the guy could get between 8 and 9, maybe even 9. I mean, I think that's quite substantial.
That's a little high for me.
Right. So I wouldn't do that. But I remember thinking there's not many players, maybe there's a handful in the league that are built like him. He's not going to get you the 50 goals. He doesn't need to. He's not going to get you 100 points, at least. You don't need that. But the way he's built and there's the 5-tool player in baseball.
Yep.
I think he's a 5-tool guy in hockey, whatever those 5 tools are. He's got the stick. He's got the vision. He can drop the gloves with you if you want. He's very physical. He's a playmaker. He works every single shift. I remember he said this too after the deadline. He said, yeah, not that I thought that I maybe would be dealt and my name was in the rumor mill, but I'm kind of glad it's over and I'm glad I'm here kind of thing because it takes the pressure off the guy. So, yeah, I'm with you. I wouldn't be surprised if there's an offer sheet that comes his way. Not at all.
Yeah, it all depends on what the direction is with Tavares and Marner and what they decide to do. I'm going back and forth with this. Like, I could see.
Yeah, where are you at with it?
I could see. I flip flopped on this. I'm like, Marner's leaving. He's definitely gone. They're breaking this thing up.
Yeah.
And now the more I think about it, I'm like, I could see this back again. I could see everybody back again. Like, I really could. Like, I really could see it on reasonable contracts because I think. Look, the way Tavares is playing, do I think he could get close to Stamkos money? Yeah, I think so. Because he fits well with Toronto. Mm-hmm. Does he take a little bit of a discount? Yeah. But the fact of the matter is they're really debating a lot of what to give him and how he fits in. Because I think it would have been done already if it was really a hometown discount.
Yeah, no, I agree. I would say for him, it's going to be a 3-year deal. I think that's the kind of like Marchand, whatever deal he's going to get. So the term is settled. It's just the financial aspect of it. I would see him. He could get 7. I think he'd be fine with the 7. He doesn't want to leave Toronto.
No.
I think if somebody offered him something else, say 8 mil, I don't think he'd leave Toronto. I really don't, because I think he said this too, and I could be wrong with this, but he said something like maybe last year when he was asked, oh, you got 1 more year left on the contract. I think it was something like, well, if I'm not getting another offer here in Toronto, I'm not going to play, because I just don't think that's going to happen. He's got the family, kids are being raised and all that stuff. But I think if he's able to come together with the Leafs on, say, a 3-year deal between 6 and 7, I know he could get more. And then Mitch Marner's got, if he wants to come back, he has to not want whatever money that he is going to want. He needs to take, I think, a little bit of a discount too. And how much of a discount's a discount with him? Like what do you think he's going to get? Is he going to command over 14? Is he going to command 14 and a half? What do you think?
He's not getting paid more than Matthews.
Okay. So do you think he'll get 13? Are we looking at 13?
I would say, well, what's Willie got? 12 something?
Yeah.
So he's around 12. Rantanen just got 12. Again, it's different because of the tax situation.
Yeah.
I'd say come back at 12.5.
Yeah. So if he doesn't try to break the bank on the Leafs, and again, don't forget too, with any of these teams, the cap's going up and it's progressively going up in a few years. That's the key to get him back. I also think too that what Brad Treliving did when he went to him at the deadline and said, look, man, we're trying to trade you. What do you think about going here? Do you want to waive it? And he said, no. I think that lit something under Marner, saying, well, you know what? I am expendable. I can be traded. They do have confidence in me, but they want to make sure that I may sign with the team next year. So if I wasn't going to, then they're going to get something back for me. I think the only way it's going to work, to be honest, this is dependent on what Mitch Marner is going to ask for but he is going to go to the market.
100%.
He's going to go to the market. And he should. I mean, he should. If you get to that point in free agency, then you should.
You as a player, I would do it. I'd go to free agency. I would too. If like the Stamkos situation, see what's out there.
Yeah.
And if I want to stay, I stay. If I don't, I don't. And I think teams are going to run at him. I think New Jersey will take a run at him. I think the Islanders will try to run at him. I know Utah will definitely try to take a run at him. They were trying to get him at the draft from people, the speculation anyway, because I think he could fit there as well. I don't know where else he could fit.
I find this a funny part of this whole free agency thing, like with a Marner. Say Rantanen did get to free agency, which he's not, but say he did, and some of these big name players who will command a lot of money. I always think it's interesting when, he's going to free agency. That means he's not going to come back to the team that No, that doesn't mean that. That means that he can get 10 offers. He can look at 10 of them and think of 9 of them. Yeah, you know what? No, I want to come back to the team that I've been playing with. So just because somebody goes to free agency, I wonder what the percentage is too. I wonder what the percentage is when someone like a Marner goes to free agency. What percentage is that they actually do re-sign with their team? I don't know how I'd find that.
Yeah, I'd have to look that up for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Patrick Elias got the free agency, and the Rangers offered him a really good contract, and he said, "No, I'm going to stay with New Jersey." He definitely stayed. He definitely could have stayed. He definitely stayed because he knew he would thrive in that system. I think Scott Gomez would probably want to take free agency back and stay with New Jersey as well because he was a system devil.
Like if you were Mitch Marner, I know the Leafs haven't won the cup. Forget it. But they're a good team.
Yes.
They're really. Why would you want to? Yes, you can go to other teams that are maybe a little bit further ahead. But the way that Toronto is structured now, they have goaltending. We mentioned Tanev. Love Jake McCabe. They've got some grinders on the third, fourth line. Willie's having a great season. Tavares is playing his you-know-what off. Why would you want to, for the next 5 years, not play with a Nylander or a... I just don't get it.
I would stay. I would do it.
Yeah.
Matthews, you know his deal. You know what he is. Say he sign him for a 6-year deal, whatever.
Sure.
It doesn't matter. Just try to figure out a way to keep him. I would want to stay too. I think he ends up staying, but I think he's going to July 1st, and he's going to look at the offers. And I got this one. So for free agency, and I think this is a good place to wrap it up. And I want to ask about Ovi too.
Yep.
To me, free agency.
Ovi, why? Why do you want to talk about him?
I don't know. Something about a goal record. I don't know. Something he did 6 away, right? Right? Something like that. I think,
okay.
Right? But free agency.
Yeah.
July 5th needs to be free agency.
Why?
So everybody in Canada and the United States can enjoy their holiday. July 1st and July 4th. Come on. I mean, July 1st happens, it's free agency. But then, the next 3 days are off because everybody's in American U.S. in July 4th mode. Okay, so why can't it be the 5th?
It could be, and because Canada's going to join the U.S. at some point soon, right, Jim? So we're fine.
I hope not. I want to go the other way, to be honest.
I've never heard that take before, July 5th. But get
the holidays out of the way.
Just
let everybody enjoy it, especially if the season's going to drag into end of June.
Yeah, and then you got the draft.
Right.
And then you're going to have free... I think you got something there, man. I think you do.
Couple more days just in between, because last year we saw it. Yep. It was Stanley Cup final, couple of days off.
Yep.
Into the draft. July 1st came. Everybody's got to get out of town.
Yep. I like it, man. I like it.
We can enjoy our holiday before we have to get back to work. And then go back to holiday.
You have my vote. You got one supporter, at least with me. So there you go.
I like it. Alex Ovechkin, 6 away now from Wayne Gretzky's goal record.
Come on, Ovi.
I mean, this is ridiculous what he's doing at his age right now. Big goal again. I know they lost, but big goal in Ovi's house. I think he's doing it. I said at the beginning of the year, I think he was going to do it. I'm staying with it. I think he gets it this year. I don't think it carries over because it would be just a downer if it carried over for one game.
It would. That's the one thing I don't want to have happen. Look, he would have gotten it already if he didn't miss time with the injury.
Yeah, 100%.
Right, and he also would have been way past Gretzky if they didn't have the 2 lockouts and they didn't have COVID. So let's just put that all thing to bed that he would have already had the record. What I love about him is just he is and will be, and I don't think, again, a lot of people thought when Gretzky got 894 that record never would be broken and somebody wouldn't come around that could be better than Gretzky at some point. Maybe McDavid will be at some point. I don't know. But I don't think we will see a better pure goal scorer ever in the history of the NHL. I want him to get it. I know this means a ton to him. I talked to someone a couple of weeks ago about that. I said, look, is there any pressure that's feeling? He said, Ovi doesn't feel any pressure. He feels nothing. I said, how much, say it comes down to the last 2 games and he's 3 away. How much does he want this? And she said, yes, he wants the cup. Yes, he wants the wins and the points, but he wants this record badly. He does. I hope he gets it. I really do. The sexy thing to me would be that he breaks it on the last game, which is against Sid and the Penguins. I think that's really
sexy. Yeah.
That's a really sexy finish. But hats off to him, man, because what he's doing in his age, And he can even still be physical when he wants to be. Just the passion. He's such a kid. He's such a kid at heart. So I want to see it. I really do. Let's go, Ovi. We're pulling for you.
Absolutely. And how much the way Washington's been playing, like, help him too, because you see he's having fun.
Oh,
they're winning, and it's just it's driving them. Like, he's having so much fun at his age playing a game that he just loves.
If he was on a different team, I'm going to say even out of the 16 that are in the postseason, the other 15 or 16, if he was on any of those other 16 teams that weren't in this have fun kind of kid playing street hockey mode, I don't think he'd be this close. I really wouldn't.
No.
He'd be pushing. The team would be pushing for him to do it, and they'd be feeding the puck like they tried to get Matthews the other year when he didn't hit 70. Every game and every shift, they were giving me the puck. That is a huge, huge impact on how well that he is still playing. Because why not? Say you and I were on the ice. We were goals away from reaching the Great Ones 894. And we're still winning. We're one of the best teams in the league. We're cruising into the postseason. We have a coach who more than likely will win Coach of the Year, and we've got just everything going for us. You and I would have a great time. Yeah, I wouldn't be gripping my stick. I'd be like, you know what? If the puck comes to me, which it will, great. And if I score, terrific. At the end of it, if we win, we're still going to have fun afterwards. So, yeah, it has such a huge, huge impact on how he's playing. I love it, man.
I love it. I can't wait to see it. I really hope he gets it. You know, it'd be great to do it against Sid. I think that would be special. I think it'd be great for the league because that's something you can market really well.
Hey, let me throw this at you. They have 2 games they have 1 game in Columbus, and they're home to Columbus, then they have 1 game in Columbus. I think the 12th and 13th are one of the dates.
Yes.
The one in Columbus, say that he is at 894, and he breaks the record 895. I'm pulling for the Jackets to unleash the cannon for a visitors.
You have to.
Okay.
You have to do it. You got to do it. I would be the only player I would do it for.
Okay.
The only team, only player. You got to unleash the cannon.
Because they don't do the cannon. They don't do that for a visiting team. But if that happens, you celebrate, you do the cannon. I think that'd be awesome.
I would love it. I hope Ovi does it. I really do. I think I got to agree with you. Best modern pure goal scorer the game has ever seen. And I hope he does it. It's going to be great. What do you got on your docket coming up?
We did a podcast. What are we at? Wednesday today. So we did one yesterday. Kind of did not a playoff preview, but where are we at right now with the postseason? We talked a lot about goalie interference. Not that you and I talked anything about that. We're going to do one on Friday, and then we got the hot stove with Dave Pagnotta, Dennis Bernstein coming up on Saturday. Weeks away, JB, from the start of the playoffs. So we're excited. I know you are too.
Oh, I can't wait for playoff time. It's going to be the great Ryan Paton guys from SiriusXM, Pucks in 7. Again, master of disaster, king of sting, many titles. This guy. Great to have you on the Full Press NHL podcast, buddy.
I love talking hockey, Jim. Thanks, man. Anytime.
Guys, get it up. iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast, up on YouTube as well. Like and subscribe. Guys, we'll be back again real soon. Take care.
Barry Trotz, Nashville Predators, making sure you're listening to Full Press Hockey Podcast.